Is this absolutely necessary? You never come in this early.
Oh, you bet it's necessary. I've got 3 separate audits to do for the primary care group initiative. There's quotas and percentages to check. And since you've decided that we need a spirometer...
No, I didn't decide. We all agreed. And if we're going to measure lung capacity properly, we need it.
Yes, but you ordered it before I had a chance to do my sums. And we're depending on the PCG bonus to pay for this, aren't we? Which means I have to work out whether we're going to meet their targets.
Well, we will, though, won't we?
Well, that's exactly why we're here. OK?
Yes, OK.
Caroline. Sorry, I didn't think you'd be in.
Neither did we. Well, thank you, Bianami.
Well, I've just got some paperwork to go through, so I'll just go and do it.
OK. Well.
Well, what?
Doesn't look too bright, is she?
She's not the only one, is she?
No, I mean, she's looking a bit down again. Think she'll be able to cope when I offer her the partnership?
Yeah, well, I thought that was part of the point, to help her out of this.
Yeah, well, there are other considerations, aren't there? This is supposed to be an investment. What if she can't cope with the pressures? What if it makes things worse?
Ah.
Where have you been? I thought you were still sleeping.
Yes, well, it's been a bit of a full night.
I can see that.
Couldn't be helped, though, Mother. I had dinner with Gerald, and he was keen to talk business. Here, for you.
And that took all night, did it?
Well, you know Gerald. He was keen to talk business, and he'll talk the hind leg off a donkey.
And that's Gerald's scarf, is it, Tommy?
What? Oh, crikey. No, it's his sister's. He asked me to look after it for him.
My, how time flies.
Kate?
I could have sworn it was only 8 o'clock.
It is. I just thought I'd pop in early. There's a paper I want to read in the BMJ. You know, before the boards arrive. Where have you been?
Why?
I've been phoning half the night.
Well, that's hardly my fault, is it?
Where were you?
Out.
I've been worried about you. I thought you might have been...
What? Drinking? Well, I haven't, as a matter of fact, and I don't need to go out to drink either.
I called round, you know.
I've just been for a walk, that's all.
Just walking?
Yes, just walking. Seeing the dawning, trying not to think.
Oh, right. Fancy a coffee?
Yeah, thanks.
I'll set up a drip if you like. Save you the effort of drinking it. Might perk us both up. And you never know, it might even impress the management.
I doubt it.
Why?
I think the management have given up on me.
Oh. You need to eat, Tommy.
I will.
Now. Come on, sit up. And we must talk. I have a few bones to pick with you.
I told you I was with Gerald. I couldn't get away.
Oh, not that. Bills for wine I don't ever remember seeing. Membership of something called Cinderella's. And more repairs to the car.
That's not my fault. I told you the blame lies fairly and squarely with that dork in the van. It's a well-known fact in cases like that, you know.
What is?
Well, that it's not your fault if you get pranged up the backside.
Well, maybe, but why does it have to be yellow?
What?
And so flashy. It's far more expensive to repair than an ordinary car.
Well, perhaps it is, but that's all part of the business scene these days. Same as Cinderella's. It's where all the posh people go. It's really, really important that I go there, Mother. Besides, all these things are tax deductible. Well, most of them.
Yes, it is giving me jip. But I managed to cope. I worked round it. Oh.
Painkillers are working, are they?
A bit, yes. And I try to restrict my movement as much as I can. I say to myself, is your journey really necessary? And if it isn't, I stay put.
Well, once we get you in for this operation...
This operation, yes.
You'll have a new lease of life. You won't need the frame anymore, and you'll be skipping around like a spring lamb.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I've been reading up on this hip replacement business, and I'm not happy with it. There's one or two questions I want to ask you.
Come in.
Tommy Stewart, Dr. Maguire.
Good to meet you.
The girl out there told me you were the top man.
I was the available man, Mrs. Stewart, when you booked your appointment.
Bit short notice, I know, and I see you have a veritable throng of invalids out there.
Fairly average, I'd say.
Oh, I was amazed. Looks like a coach party. Anyway, this shouldn't take long.
Perhaps you'd like to tell me...
What seems to be the matter? Yes, well, I have a dicky heart. Flutters like a bird and sometimes leaves me gasping for breath.
I'll have a listen, shall I?
Actually, that won't be necessary, Doctor. You see, I know what it is. Here we are.
Cardiomyopathy.
That's the chap. Nasty, but it can be controlled.
Can you really?
Oh, yes. I'd have thought you'd have known that.
My daughter cut this out of the paper. She has these posh Sundays, and they did this thing on hip replacements. There you go.
Oh, I see, yes.
Well, it's an eye-opener, isn't it? I was staggered.
Which bit in particular, Mrs. Corcoran?
Well, the chart, where it tells you about the ops and what they cost. I mean, it's staggering. I'd no idea.
Well, the treatment isn't cheap, that's true.
Not cheap. You could have a holiday overseas for that. More than one, probably.
But you won't have to pay for this. It's on the National Health.
Well, that's not what I'm getting at. I know it won't cost me, but it'll cost someone, won't it? It'll cost the National Health, like you say.
But that's the point of it, surely.
Well, they're stony broke as it is. Maybe worse.
What are you saying exactly?
That I don't want the op.
You don't want it?
Not at that price. I've had my best years. And I don't want a new hip if it means some kiddie, the start of his life, is going to be deprived of what he needs.
There's a drug that sorts this sort of thing out.
One or two drugs, actually.
Well, maybe, but... Here's the chap. Can't pronounce the name, but I'm told it's very good.
Well, I'm sure it is, but I can't prescribe this without taking a proper look at you first.
There's no need, Doctor.
Running a few tests.
Well, you can if you like, but I know what I want.
It's not like picking out your favourite chocolate, you know.
I am aware of that, Doctor. But I know what I need. And if you really are the top man round here, I think you'll come to the same conclusion.
Well, doesn't seem to be a lot worse.
And you can tell that just by looking, can you? Is that what I pay you for? Might as well be the NHS for the level of service I get.
I'm only saying that it appears to be...
The discomfort is definitely increasing, Dr. Pace. I know it is because I can feel it.
What about the tablets I gave you?
Oh, those things, well, they're mildly effective, I suppose. Better than nothing.
Well, good. Good. I'll get you some more.
Thank you. I'm rather sorry Tommy isn't here. I wanted you to take a look at him.
I saw him the other day, in fact.
He didn't say. He looks quite ashen at the moment, and he tires very easily. It's not like him. He's always been so energetic. What's wrong with him?
Well, I really can't say.
Oh, the amount of money we pay you, I thought you might.
No, I mean, I can't discuss a patient with a third party.
Don't be ridiculous. I'm not a third party. I'm his mother.
Yes, but I have to respect his confidentiality.
Dr. Pace, I may look like a harmless old lady, but I won't be fobbed off with talk of confidentiality. There's something wrong with Tommy, and I'm entitled to know what.
Yes, perhaps you are, Mrs. Stewart, but I'm not entitled to tell you. I think the best thing you can do is to have a little chat to him yourself.
Rana, you seen Caroline this morning?
Yeah, why?
Well, I just wanted a word.
Oh, okay.
No, with Caroline. I was wondering if she's all right.
Yeah, she's okay. You know, things haven't been easy for her lately.
Yes, well, I had sort of gathered that, yeah.
But she's coping pretty well. At work, I mean.
Yes, yes, of course.
Never lets it get in the way, does she?
No, she doesn't, does she? And that's good, isn't it? Okay, thanks.
They're different today. Did you notice?
What are?
The biscuits. They have reduced fat. Too much fat isn't sensible for a boy your age.
Good. Well, they're very nice all the same. I could get used to these. Are you all right, Mother?
I am, yes. Are you?
And why shouldn't I be?
Because I was talking to Dr. Pace this morning, and he says you've been to see him.
Well, yes, I did show my face there the other day.
I knew there was something. Well, what is it? What's wrong?
Well, look, I was going to tell you when the time was right.
Tommy, just tell me what it is.
Heart's playing up, I'm afraid. Now, listen, I don't want you worrying about it.
Not worry? You tell me you have a heart condition and you say don't worry?
Yes, well, I am getting it seen to.
Serious, isn't it? I can tell.
No. Well, it could be. But it can be controlled. There is this stuff you can take for it.
Heart condition, though. And that man refused to tell me. I shall complain in the strongest possible terms.
Oh, no, don't do that, Mother. I'm looking after this. Of course, it won't be cheap.
But we're insured, aren't we?
Not exactly.
What do you mean, not exactly?
Well, we seem to have run into something of a hiatus with the insurance.
Hiatus? You're not making any sense.
Gerald recommended this firm, and you know he's a safe bet, so I drew a line under the old company, and the new one's not quite up and running yet.
Oh, Tommy.
Anyway, I hate to ask, you know me, but...
The treatment.
Yeah, it's a bummer, I know, but I could struggle on, I suppose.
Don't be silly. Your health must come first. Of course it must. I'll see what I can do.
At first I thought she was just scared about going under the knife, you know, at her age, but it wasn't that at all.
A very independent-minded lady, Mrs. Corcoran.
It costs too much, she said, and there are people who need it more.
Well, she's turned it down. Well, and she's able to cope without.
Cope?
Well, in a way, she's right, you know. I mean, there is only limited funding.
Kate, you spent too long with that calculator.
No.
She can't cope. She's in more pain than she cares to admit, and it took me most of the consultation to persuade her to go ahead with the operation.
Well, of course, I mean, if she needs it. But the books have to be balanced somewhere along the line. It's like with this spirometer we've ordered.
That comes out of primary care group funding, though.
It should do. But in order to get the funding, we have to meet the targets. And 70% of the drugs that we prescribe have to come from their recommended list.
It is, though, isn't it, wherever possible?
Most of the time. But then you've got the expensive treatments like asthma and heart conditions, and the figures begin to get a bit dodgy.
Dodgy? How?
We're very near the cut-off point. So you get a patient who needs a particular treatment, and it's not on the recommended list, and we don't meet the 70% mark.
And if we don't get the funding?
We have one very expensive spirometer already packed and on its way, which someone is going to have to pay for.
Us, the partners.
Ah, Mr. Lathwell, at last. Yes, it's Rosemary Stewart. The antique table that interested you so much, I'm prepared to part with it. Yes, but I expect to be offered a decent price. I may look like a sweet old lady, but I think you know I'm not one to be cheated.
Bye, Angela. And please don't start taking the tablets.
Ma,
Yeah.
I got Mrs. Pomerance in the treatment room. You couldn't take a little look at her knee for me?
She wouldn't like to do it herself, would she? No, some of them do, you know. Diagnose themselves, then prescribe their own treatments. How about in today? First time here, and he's telling me my job made me feel distinctly redundant.
Oh, yes, but was he right?
Well, don't ask me. I'm just the doctor.
Who was he?
A suave sort of bloke. Old school tie?
Oh, that's Tommy Stewart.
Yeah, you met him.
Yeah, he spent 10 minutes of his time trying to impress us.
Did it work?
Definitely. Told you all about the club he goes to, didn't he?
Yeah, Cinderella's, members only, but he said he could get me in.
Oh, I bet he did.
Yeah, but not that I ever would have called.
Likes to let you know he's got money. Flash car, private education, private clubs.
But not private medicine?
Until last week. He was with Dr. Page.
Was he? So what's he doing here? Maybe I should have a word with Dr. Page.
Ah, yeah. Not until you see Mrs. Pomerance's knee. Come.
Yeah, okay.
Tommy. Tommy, are you awake? Oh, you've been sleeping for ages. I was beginning to think...
No, I'm all right.
Oh, I just wanted to let you know about this treatment. I've had a look at our finances and you'll be all right. I can find the money.
Thank you. I knew you'd always be there for me in the end. It's so good to have that feeling of security.
Yes, well, in a case like this... Anyway, we're slightly more comfortable than I thought.
Glad to hear it. Better make the check out to me, though. It'll be safer in the long run.
Cheers, Max. He's a funny sort of bloke. I'm not sure he's living in this world.
What is this world?
Well, daily grind. Real life. Seems to me he spends his wrapped up in cotton wool.
Well, be that as it may. Mr. Stewart is not a well man, I'm afraid.
So he told me.
Well, he isn't.
No, but he seems to know exactly what's wrong with him and what he needs. Look, I take it you've,
Yes, and he's right. Did all the tests a couple of weeks ago. He's merely repeating what I told him.
So why aren't you treating him?
He can't afford it.
Really?
Said he had a bit of bad luck with some investments. So I told him he should put himself in the hands of the NHS.
And you believed him, did you, about the investments?
Well, it's not for me to question his ability to pay, is it? I merely recommended the best treatment and the best way to go about getting it.
And landed us with the bill.
Not you personally.
The NHS is me personally.
I don't see how you work that out.
That's what I signed up to. I believe in it.
Oh. You're not doubting my commitment to my patients, are you?
Of course not, but they are different creatures, aren't they? Your patients and mine.
They're still people. They still need fixing from time to time.
Absolutely, but some of them have a head start, don't they?
Oh. So it's a race, is it?
Yeah, in a way. It's a race. You can't pretend it isn't. Things are different our end. We have very long queues. Someone somewhere is going to be pushed to the back by this treatment.
What's that supposed to mean? Tommy is a genuinely sick man. He's probably sicker than he appreciates.
I know that.
And it's very likely he'll need a transplant one day.
Yes, right. But if he can afford this himself...
What? He should pay for it. That sounds like an argument against the NHS, if you ask me. And besides, Mac, I've told you, he can't afford it.
So he says.
Quite. So he says. Well, surely not suggesting that we should risk his life to find out if he's lying. Are you?
Oh, Helen. There's been a phone call from the hospital. Joe asked me to tell you.
Yes?
About Mrs. Corcoran. They say they've had a couple of emergency referrals.
Don't tell me her operation's been put back.
Looks like it.
Oh, great.
Slipped down the list is how they put it.
Slipped down the list. Makes it sound like her fault, doesn't it? Have you got a moment?
Why?
I've just finished doing the audits.
Oh.
I think you need to hear this.
Go on, then.
Well, we're more or less on target for the first 3 levels, but level 4 is not looking too good.
Level 4.
Mac, you know all about this. I've told you that we have to meet the financial targets for each level before we can go on to the next. Though you obviously don't listen.
Yes, I do, but that's why we hire you. No good having a dog and then barking yourself.
And you don't run a practice without knowing what's going on. There's going to be a massive hole in the budget. I think you ought to be prepared for it.
It's not that bad, is it?
I think it is. We're right on the edge with level 4, and Mr. Stewart's treatment's going to tip us over. And that means we won't get the incentive payment.
Blast. Look, there's no way you could play with the figures, is there?
No, Mac, there's not.
But you're good at that. You said yourself.
I'm not fiddle the books, if that's what you're saying.
No, not fiddle exactly.
Well, it sounds like that from here. Anyway, the PCG will carry out checks. They'll do their own external audit. They'll check the figures.
So we're stymied.
Yes. Well, unless... Have you actually prescribed anything for him yet?
Not yet, no, but I'm going to have to. And he's got a pretty clear idea about what he wants.
But there are alternatives, aren't there? I mean, cheaper alternatives. Could save us hundreds, would be just as good.
And they do the job.
Yeah.
But they are not what he wants.
Why don't you explain the situation to him?
Kate, you can't say to a patient, I wonder awfully, would you mind using this treatment because it would be better for us? It's hardly ethical.
Don't explain it then. Just offer him the alternatives and see what he says. He might agree.
Oh, I doubt it.
Well, it's worth a try. You could talk to him without putting him under any pressure.
Oh.
I told them. I said it's supposed to go in the treatment room, but they wouldn't take it any further than that.
What is it?
Oh, it's the new spirometer thingy.
Brilliant.
Well, yes, but how am I supposed to get it moved?
Get a man to do it, Mac or Rana, and one of the patients.
Oh, yes. That would be good, won't it? They come in with the flu and they go out with a slipped disc.
The drugs do the same job. It's just a matter of brand names, really.
And cost.
Well, yes, I admit cost does come into it, but I thought you ought to know about the alternatives before we settle on a treatment.
Well, I really don't know that there's anything to discuss, to be honest. Dr. Pace told me what I needed. He explained that the best treatment
And you will be treated. Of course you will.
I must say, I really resent being put in this position.
Look, I'm just pointing out the pros and the cons so you can make an informed decision.
No, what you're doing is pinching the pennies when a man's health is at stake. I know what I need, and frankly, I don't want to hear about the alternatives. I know what's best, and I'm entitled to have it.
Tommy, what's going on?
Mother, please.
A business meeting, you said?
Well, it is. Indirectly.
Doesn't sound very businesslike to me.
Well, frankly, it's best left to me to sort out.
I'm not so sure that it is. Who is this man? And where's Dr. Pace?
There you go.
Thanks. Ah, I heard it had turned up.
It's turned up all right.
I was wondering, unless somebody else has made it.
Hang on, we haven't even unpacked it yet.
No, I was thinking about the box.
The box?
Yeah, Dan's making junk robots at school.
The latest in medical technology, and you want the box.
Well, I wouldn't get our hopes up too high. It might have to go back.
We can't go back. We need it.
I know we need it, but it costs nearly £3,500 that we haven't got. Unless, of course, the partners are prepared to put out their checkbooks.
Sorry. I expect you think I'd abandoned you.
I was beginning to wonder.
Just needed a few words with Thomas Stewart. You know how it is.
I know. So, you wanted a chat?
Yes, absolutely. Sit down, please. I know this is about something that's cropped up before, and I know that I made a mess of it, but,
What?
well, the partnership.
Oh, yes, which last time you gave to Steve.
After perhaps I gave you the impression...
No, it was more than an impression, Mac. I understood you were offering it to me. You did say.
Yes, right.
And then you took it away again.
Well, I had got myself into a bit of a corner, you see, and I don't want that to happen again.
No.
Well, it's best to make it clear from the outset.
And that's what you're trying to do now, is it? Make things clear.
It is what I'm trying to do. The LHA are pushing us to take on another partner, and we've been, well, Kate has been looking at the figures. See if it's feasible.
But?
But what?
Well, you're going to say but, aren't you? But the timing's wrong, there's no funding, whatever.
No, I'm trying to offer you a
Well,
partnership.
I'd really rather the... What?
In our own interest, you understand. We reckon you'll stay on longer if you're saddled with a partnership. We don't want to lose you.
Oh.
And I'm sure that you are aware that you appreciate what's involved. I mean, a share of the profits, of course, but also a share of the responsibility. Huh? Keeping on top of things, facts and figures, you know, levels of funding. Something which the partners ought to know about pretty thoroughly. Now, you've seen the new spirometer, haven't you?
Yes.
We are reliant on the PCG for funding, right? And if we don't get that, we either send the spirometer back or the partners share the cost. Anyway, you think about it.
Yes, I will. There's no need to think about it.
Excellent.
So, my first act as a partner is to fork out for a spirometer.
Well, it might have been, yes. But Thomas Stewart has decided to go back to Dr. Pace.
Oh.
Well, his mother decided. She practically had him in an arm lock when I left.
So he's no longer our problem, then?
We don't look after him anymore now. Someone's going to have to, then. But there will still be those cases when we have to measure the patient's demands with what the NHS can provide. So, if you can put up with that sort of headache, welcome to the club.
I really didn't want you to know about the table.
I think I'd have found out. I mean, I think I might have noticed it was missing.
I'm not sure that you would. Anyway, that's not the point. We can manage. You need this treatment, and I'm going to see that you get it.
I was getting it. It was all arranged.
I'm not a fool, Tommy. What you were arranging was a fiddle. You're my son, and I love you very much. But I have to face the fact that you're also a bit of a sponger.
Mother!
I hear that these drugs will help you to lead a normal life. Well, I shall look forward to that. It'll make a pleasant change. But there are going to be some other changes round here that you're not going to find so pleasant.
Like what?
Like swapping the car for something a little more sensible.
Oh, no, that car's absolutely necessary. I need it for my business. I told you, and I can't do that.
And cancelling your membership to that ridiculous club. A man of your age has no business belonging to a place that calls itself Cinderella's.
This is so unfair.
No, it's not unfair at all. Things are going to be much fairer from now on. A normal life. No more fantasy investments and hopeless speculations.
But they weren't hopeless.
Oh, yes, they were. They were daydreams.
No, they'd have made hard cash, which you say we need. I mean, what are we going to do if I'm not bringing some in?
Oh, but you will be.
How? Well, how can I?
Didn't I say? You're going to find yourself a job.